Okay, we're gonna put in contacts for Gary's this morning. So there's Gare. He's been sleeping last night, and we've already cleaned his eyes this morning. Just cleaned him out with some, regular solution and just get him clean. So, hey, Gare. He's also wearing a beeper on the side. That's how he signals and things like that. If you're wondering what's on his head, but anyway. So this is Bernadine, one of our caregivers.
Hi.
Bernadine is the best at putting contacts in. All of us can do it, but she's the best. So we thought we'd show you some of the tools that we start with. Obviously, we've got Gary's contacts, and we'll talk about the fact that they are marked in a second. We've got Bernadine show them the insertion tool. So this is a little insertion tool that we're going to use later. It's just a tool we were given by the at the office, and it's on a little bit of an angle, and it's on the end of a pen light. It'll help flip things in a minute. So we need that. This is the little device. Can we get the little orange plunger? This is the little device we'll use to pull contacts out. So should we need to, this is the way that you get contacts out. And then we're going to use some contact drops. These are, we happen to use the Sustain Hydration Free ones.
In the blue box.
In the blue box. So we use those. So, okay, Bernadine, bring your magic, my girlfriend.
Okay, so first I have one baby wipe and 2 tissues. The baby wipe is to keep my hands from being oily, so I usually wipe in the corner, and I also wipe these tools with it. So we're just going to start with putting on our first contact. So you want to take the first one out.
And that one's going to go in his...
This is the right eye, and if you look here, let me just find it.
It has the single dot. We'll see it.
There's one single dot.
That's the single dot
at
for
the
the
top,
right eye.
and that signals that it's the right eye, and it also goes to the top of the lid.
Yep, so that's going to go on the top.
So I'm just going to rinse it because I did do a lot of touching. I'm just going to rinse it one more time. And I'm going to put it so that the dot, I'm right-handed. I'm going to put it that the dot is going to be at the top. So I flop it directly into the right eye. And we hold our tool sideways like this. Right eye being at the top.
Okay, awesome.
We put in 4 dots.
4
drops.
drops. 4 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay,
so got 4.
Once I've cleaned, and I use the Kleenex to keep my hands dry because it'll slip on Gary's skin. It kind of makes it harder to put the contacts in.
Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way, and then I'm going to come over and show what Bernadine's doing. So, awesome. So, Bernadine's going to work with Gary. Now, Gary happens to be in bed, but this could easily be done. We do it sometimes in his shower chair. We'll do it in his power chair. We'll do it in his regular chair, anywhere. We're just doing it this morning.
In bed.
But what's the biggest key?
The biggest key is sitting Gary as straight up as possible. Not so much as leaning forward or hunched over, but sitting straight up as he can take, and that makes it easier to slip the contact in.
So we have an automatic bed, but so if you don't have that, you can do this in his power chair or someplace else. But you're getting him really vertical. You can see how vertical Gary's getting.
So now he's basically sitting straight up, and we're going to wipe with the contact because we flush Gary's eyes just to get any sleep in. Morning, Carol calls it salt. Out of his eyes. So we're just going to make sure that area is dry. We're going to take our pointer finger and we're going to crawl that eyelid up as high as possible.
So
and then we're going to take
2 fingers to crawl it up. And then she's going to use her thumb
to hold that.
Crawls up all that.
And then hold the bottom down. Now. You're going to come up and you're going to rest your right hand on his cheek, and you're just going to flop it right on in. Nice, slow, and gentle. Give Gary time to adjust. We will help him blink a little bit.
So she did that super easy. It's not easy the first couple times. Relax.
It's not. It does take time to get used to, but once you do it.
And then she kind of tilts it up and in. And you're trying to tilt up and in fast enough, but not too fast. Slow, but not too slow, to be able to get it in without getting bubbles in it.
So now we're going to check to see if Gary has a bubble. Usually this is very up close and personal, and I just kind of lean in and open the eye. And it looks pretty clear. The smaller bubbles are easy to see, and the bigger bubbles, the larger ones are kind of hard to see, but I think we did pretty good with the first one.
Okay, so we did real great. So amazing. That's terrific. Believe you me, if it's your first couple of times, or if it just happened to be having a bad day, some days you have a bad day, you get bubbles in them. If you get a bubble in them, Bernadine, what are you going to do?
Oh, we're going to take it out. So then you're going to go back over here, and you're going to get your orange tool. It might be green, it might be orange, and you're going to come over and you're going to hold it between these 2 fingers. It just makes it easier. You're going to control the bottom with your pinky, and you're going to control the top with your thumb. So we're going to lift the top of the eyelids with our thumb, the bottom with our pinky, directly under And it comes right out just like this. And you're going to want to cup this way just in case your contact falls. It falls in the palm of your hand.
Right. So you're going to, she's just pulled it back out. Now, she didn't have to because Gary's was in right. She's just showing you guys how it is. So she'll put another one back in. So let's do it again. Can you do the other eye for me next?
Sure.
Because it's the one that has to go over the nose. So let's all just act like that first one stayed in. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for playing the game. But, so now she's going to come in and do the same thing again. Talk us through again.
Okay, we're going to do the same with the left eye. Look here, the left eye has 2 dots, and that's how we indicate where the contact needs to lay, and also the fact that it's a left eye, 2 dots. So just a small wipe to make sure we don't have anything on it. Back in the solution. And then the exact same thing. We're going to place it on the dropper, and we're going to turn so that our dots are on the top.
Top for where you're going to flop.
For top or where you're going to flop. And also, once again, I'm right-handed, so they both 3, 4 dots. They both go this way because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, it'll definitely be swapped the other way. So we're going to come over.
We're going to come over. She's still got him tilted up.
He's still sitting very much up.
Far eye.
This one is going in the left eye. It's a little bit more.
The one you're reaching over.
Yeah.
So show us how you reach over.
So first
Gary's laughing.
First, I put my arm on the top of his head, and it's just a little contract to hold his head, control to hold his head back a little. Don't, oh my gosh, Gary, we're making a video. Don't do that.
Bernadine does not like when Gary gives him when he gives her the eyeball. When he gives her the eyeball.
Okay, and we're gonna crawl up. It's a little.
Stop, Gary. Okay, you two goofballs.
Okay, we're gonna crawl. This side is a little bit more difficult because Gary has a lot of control in this eye. So of course his muscles are fighting against me. So we're gonna crawl up the same way. We're gonna hold with our thumb and we're gonna hold down. And we're gonna come over. Hold on, I tilted. And Gary, window. That's me telling him I needed him to go to the left a little bit, and we're gonna flop in.
She's going to dry off any liquid that's come out. She's going to let him relax for a minute. Now, show me how those dots, where you want the dots.
This is your placement of your dots. And this is why I place it the way I do. Look down, Gary. His dots are right here at the top of his iris.
If they're not, you can spin them.
You can spin.
Contact.
This is a little tricky part because but we can turn, let's turn to this way so they can see the dots clearly. It's a little harder in the left eye. How about we do it with the right eye?
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little harder to see that.
Just to see. But you want the dots, the 2 dots are straight up. They're at like 12 o'clock on a clock.
Yes, they're at like 12 o'clock, correct.
So she's going to now look in that eye and see how we're doing. See if she's got any bubbles. Any bubbles, dear? Gare? Looking pretty good?
No, we're good. No bubbles.
No bubbles. Okay, that takes a little bit to get. Don't think it's going to happen for you the first time like that.
Definitely not. The left eye is the hardest eye.
The one where you have to reach over the nose. If you're left-handed, it would be the right eye. But the one where you have to reach over the nose is a little bit harder.
It is. Especially if your hands are a little shaky.
Or
so just make sure you have your areas to stabilize your arms so you can move more controlled with your hands. Because my biggest fear with Gary is I'm going to poke his eyes out.
But you don't.
Okay, so we're going to put the right one back in now because we took it out. So we're just going to slip it on through, give it a look to make sure it's okay. This is the right contact, and we're twisting so our dot is at 12 o'clock. We're going to do 4 drops.
Now, sometimes you can get a little bubble in there ahead of time, right? When you squeeze it out.
Yes, you can. I thought I did. I was trying to get one in there, but I didn't.
If you get
so
one
what happens is you get to the bottom. I'm trying to put one in and it's not going
okay.
in.
Don't worry.
But what you can do is you can take the empty container of the eye drops, and if you squeeze it out so the bubble is coming and you just sit it on top of the bubble and then let go, it'll suck the bubble up.
Back in.
Yeah, it sucks the bubble back in, which
sometimes
is kind of easy.
You can just also
just pop it.
Just pop the bubble with the thing on the end.
Okay, so we're going to go back in on the right side here, and I'm just drying Gary's face.
The key is, for me, is always drying off that eye because your hands have to be able to hold it.
Yes, and it's if it's moist, it's gonna slip. Okay. We're up and we're down. And 1, 2, 3. Up. And we made a boo-boo. There's a big bubble in there too. Okay, hold on. Let me push it. Let me push it so we can, yeah, so they can see what the bubble looks like. So here you see this circle here. That's our bubble area. And because it has the bubble in there, Gary's going to see, it's going to be basically blurry for him.
He'll say blurry.
Yeah.
Or bubble.
He'll say
He'll know
bubble,
what a
bubble and
looks
right.
like.
And that's when we'll have to take it out and try and do it again to make sure that he gets a very clear.
So that
visual.
bubble you saw there sort of makes it look like it's sort of opaque, more opaque than clear when the bubble happens. That was a big bubble. It's good. That was easy to see. Sometimes they're a little harder to see, especially if they're right on top of the pupil. I find them really hard to see when they're right on
They
top of the
are,
pupil.
and also if they're if it's the whole, if the bubble's the whole
iris.
correct, then you don't see it at all. And he's like, bubble, and I'm like, Gary, there's no bubble. He's like, yes, bubble. Yeah. And so I just take it out when he says to.
Yeah,
Because you can't really tell.
Okay, I'll get my hand out. I think my hand was in your way earlier, my arm where I was shooting the video. Tell you what, I might come over on the other side so we get a new perspective toward how you're doing this. Okay, hang on, Gare. Coming over here. Thanks for being the trooper. We're poking you in the eye way too much, but
we've
maybe
got
we
you sitting
help
up
some
for a
other
long
folks.
time,
Okay,
so it's
see how she's gonna be sitting up a lot. He never sits up this long, but there you go. She's gonna do that. See, she's coming over and she's
all
tilting
right,
it
and we
in.
flop in.
She flops it in. Awesome.
Give him a second to adjust, and then I'm gonna check to make sure I don't have a bubble.
She'll check, and then she's gonna lean it back. The poor dude's been sitting straight up for a while. So you're, for people who don't have ALS and who have, more ability to control themselves, they always tell people with scleral lenses, you have to lean all the way over and then pop them in your eyeball.
You definitely don't.
You don't, and we don't have that. We don't have that capability with Gary anyway.
Exactly.
He can't lean
But
forward.
you do have to sit up straight.
But you gotta sit up straight, because if you do it when they're too far back like this,
Everything's gonna come out.
all of the liquid comes out and you get a bubble instantaneously.
Yes.
So
All of the liquid comes out, and
Okay.
everything is just gonna be starting over a lot.
okay, can you show me one more thing, Bernadine, maybe?
Sure.
So throughout the day, she may need to do two things. One, she might need to position the lenses to spin them to get the bubbles toward the top. That might be one thing she needs to do. She'll show us how we all do that. Actually, it's good because the one in the right actually has that issue going on right now, because we just didn't straighten out for you earlier. So see on the right, see how the dot is not, I'm sorry, the left. See how the left
Oh
dot
yes, because
is
I
not-
turned it.
Okay, so she's going to spin that. You just touch it and spin it. But don't push hard, because if you push too hard, you push the liquid out. So you just lightly touch it. It's the lightest touch and a little bit of spin, like you're spinning the hands of a clock.
And then our dots are now
And the dots
At
are
the
now
top.
at the top. So she
In
put
the
the double
square.
dot
Yes.
in that left eye at the top.
Okay.
So that was one thing we might have to do. She'll touch the other one.
And his one dot is at the top of
The
the
one
right.
on the right, the single dot's often a little harder to see.
It is because it's just a little bit smaller.
Okay.
So the last thing Gary usually asks us to do before he just calibrates with Toby is everything is wipe his eyes.
So
once you
wipe
get the
my eyes.
Yes.
Why does he say wipe my eyes?
So when you have ALS, and not just ALS, it's for many different reasons. When you first wake up, you have a lot of debris and stuff in your eyes. So what we do is we do what's called a flush, and we just use eye drops to flush Gary's eyes out, and we wipe them out pretty good
Before we even do contacts.
However, we don't always get everything, and so sometimes he'll say wipe my eyes, and that's just us basically trying to get anything that was left in
And
the
also,
eye.
sometimes when we put the contacts in, you get a little extra liquid in there.
Correct.
And the liquid makes it a little blurry.
It
for
does
him.
make it blurry. So I do, when he wants me to wipe his eyes, we do this motion going from right to left, and we just hold the top open and we'll dab.
It's just a top,
Or,
tap, tap, tap.
and it's very, very, very light, or you just do a swipe
A
with your
swipe
glove or
light.
your finger.
Light swipe across. Just slight pressure on there. And what that is it's getting any kind of film that might build up.
Or debris. And if
debris
you
or
push too hard, you want to be as light as possible in this instance, because if you apply too much pressure, you're going to end up getting a bubble. Some of your liquid will come out.
So You're a good swiper. I'm a light tapper. Can you show the light tap?
The light tap
I
would
just
be,
do a light tap. I'm a tap.
of course. So the light tap would be 1, 2, 3. Each one hitting at a different angle of the contact. One in the front, one in the middle, one on the end, and then you wipe it off on the cloth because you don't want to put the debris back in his eye. 1, 2, 3.
And I do the lightest little tap, tap, tap,
Yeah,
tap.
just small little.
And sometimes I'll
tap,
do a
tap,
little
tap.
toward the top, a little toward the bottom, a little in
Correct,
the
because you
middle.
want to cover the whole contact. Now, one other thing to do, sometimes there is leftover eye drops in his eye. And
Yes.
so that,
When he has a little extra eye drop, what do you do?
correct. So we use a tissue, we use
By
a
the way,
Kleenex.
Bernadine is from New Orleans and is a huge Saints fan.
Yes, I
she's a
am.
huge
I am
Saints
from
fan.
New Orleans. I lived there basically most of my life, and I am the biggest Saints fan ever. Saints are the only team that matters. And do you know what?
By the
Gary
way,
does not
Bernadine
have.
is from New Orleans and is a huge Saints fan.
Gary does not have any Saints gear. I just think that is just
And he has every other team.
Every other team, not
No,
one.
Saints.
I just
Here's what's the glorious
So
part
hurt.
of what just happened. What's the glorious part of what's just happened is we put Gary's contacts in a minute ago. While we were talking, he calibrated. And
Yes,
his
he
eyes
did.
are already working on Toby.
they are, and
He's
they
already up and running, and he was
He
already
is.
able to tell us all that. Where before scleral lenses,
it would take anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes just for calibration. We would be constantly doing eye drops. We would do eye drops anywhere from 35 to 50 times a day for Gary. Sometimes every 2 hours. Sometimes it would be
Every
3 to 4 times within a
15
30-minute span
minutes,
because
20
of the dry eye. And the fact that he also had glasses. Because even though, your eyes do go a little bit, but the glasses just didn't help because then you were fighting against the sunlight, the light in the
glare.
room, and the glare from the glasses. These lenses are amazing. It's cut down a lot of his calibrating. His eyes don't get as irritated because he's not calibrating so much, and he's actually enjoying his device and using it more.
and he's much more efficient
He
on his
is.
device.
He's
and his
very
eyes
much
don't
more
hurt.
efficient.
His eyes don't hurt from being dry.
And they're,
that
that
chronic
dry,
eye that hurts.
scratchy. It feels like glasses under
Yeah.
their eyelids. It's
Yeah.
completely horrible. So the last thing we do is he'll say blurry, and sometimes it's not the fact that something is on the contact, but it's the fact that we have too much eye drops in his
Yeah.
eye.
Yep.
So what we'll do is I'll fold the
That
Kleenex.
often happens after, sometimes during the day, he will ask for an extra
He
eye
will
drop.
ask for
How many
an
do we do
extra-
then? I mean, do we usually put one eye drop or two?
It's 1 drop on each eye, and in a 12-hour span, we might do it 2 to 3 times.
Yeah. And it
Which
used
is
to
a
be
lot
a lot
less.
But we used to also have to put 3 or 4 eye drops in each
At
eye.
a time,
Now
yes.
with the scleral lenses, when we do
1
eye
drop
drops,
in
it's
each
1
eye,
drop in each eye.
and that's about 3 to 4 times in a whole 12-hour period. So we're talking about 3 to
don't
4
overflood
drops.
'em.
Exactly.
Don't flood
There's
'em
no
like you used
reason
to.
because the lenses keep his eyes moist,
Yeah.
and they also help with the vision part to calibrate on Toby and track. So the
Okay.
last thing we need to do is to get any
Excess.
lingering excess water or drops out of Gary's eye. I will take a squared up Kleenex, and I will start at the corner, and I will just press it into the crease, and we go straight across because sometimes the excess drops will make it seem blurry, and that will pick up the drops. You don't have to do directly in the eye, just in the crease and along the bottom.
And you're not looking to come in contact with the contact lens too much
No.
because, again,
No, you
wanna
don't
keep
want to
as
move
much-
it. You want to keep as much of the eye drops you can into the thing. So that's why we go directly to the corner. You don't have to open because if you notice all of the, when you cry and your tear ducts, it'll come right in this area.
Right,
So
that
it's
corner.
going to start there. So most of it pools around the bottom. So you just, kind of start at the bottom and you go across the bottom just like that. And it will soak up the water pretty good without getting in his way.
So
or-
after we do eye drops, we often will do that because he'll say that's that, and then
Toby?
and then throughout the day we may do eye drops 2 or 3 times sometime during the day, and we'll do that dabbing again. Now during the day, for some unknown reason, we might get a bubble in, and he'll say bubble in right, bubble in
Bubble and
left,
Yes, we have to change.
and then we'll have to do this process again. Okay. Anything you need, Gear?
Nope.
You good? Okay. Thanks for being a huge sport. Your eyes look pretty. Look at those blue eyes. Ready to go type on Toby? Okay. Any questions? We're always here.